Bam! What's up, the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Welcome to another CessTalksSports, BWISE, PoliSports Tea Time, where sports, race, politics, and power collide. What we got today ain't just basketball. It's trust, manipulation, and exploitation straight out of Hollywood script. It's like a movie. You know how the kids say? This thing might have been a movie, but the Chicago Sky's version, a 2-decade production. And the ones footing the bill, especially black women, have been the fans. Welcome to the Broken Skies, episode 5, the front office theme. The long con, how a franchise hustled its fans for 2 decades instead of building a legacy. In this thing, the Mark doesn't know he's already sitting at a cricket table. Same thing in Chicago. Picture it, 2006. WNBA brings the Sky to town. It looks like opportunity. A new team in a basketball city. The celebrity investors like Michelle Williams and Matthew Knowles. The community, especially black women, lean in. They think they buying into a legacy. But from day one, the signs was there. No practice facility, no infrastructure, no real investment. The table was rigged. It was like one of them tables you sitting at, and 3 of the legs is the same length of that 4th one. You got to put a penny or something up on it, under it. Yeah, the Mark just didn't know yet. The table was rigged. And now, my co-host, the one and only Political Lil, she's always behind the curtain, always seeing the patterns, always bringing the truth to light. Lil has lived the frustration of Chicago Sky basketball cycles of hope, cycles of heartbreak. But in this bust cycle, she had an epiphany, the light bulb moment, the aha, where the truth shows itself. This isn't just incompetence. This is a long con, a sting. And Political Lil is here to warn the fans. The Sky front office can't run basketball, but they sure as hell know how to run a hustle.
Thank you, Auntie Cess. In the 1973 classic, The Sting, Paul Newman and Robert Redford pulled off an elaborate long con, a carefully orchestrated scheme designed to fleece a wealthy Mark over time, building trust only to exploit it for massive payoff. You lean in, you believe the game is real, but the entire table is rigged. Today, we're applying that same lens to the front office of the Chicago Sky. For 2 decades, the most loyal fan base in the WNBA, predominantly black women, have been the Mark. They've been sold the dream of a championship winning franchise, wrapped in the language of community uplift. The pitch, black community impact and uplift through black female leadership. We were building something of our own. And it started with owning a pro team, the Chicago Sky, and then came the Chicago Sky Foundation. This foundation was to focus on economic development, health and wellness, youth education, and women's empowerment by utilizing the platform of the WNBA team to create positive community impact. It was even pushed to connect women entrepreneurs with local black women politicians to stimulate business development. The Chicago Sky painted itself as a pillar of the community investment. But behind the scenes, the ownership group, unchanged for 20 years, wasn't running a dynasty. They were running a hustle. And their newest stars, Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso, are just the latest exploitable pieces in a game that was rigged from the jump. This ain't just mismanagement. This is a long-running con. And like any good hustle, it starts with the hook. So let's break it on down.
In this thing, the movie doesn't start with the big job. It opens with a little hustle, quick play that hints at the bigger con coming. You know, the underlay for the overplay. Paul Newman and Robert Redford show us the rule. Before you rob a man of his fortune, you earn his trust. You make the Mark believe the game is real. That's how you hook him. For the Chicago Sky, the hustle wasn't cars or horse racing. It was a slogan. Win now. A promise sold to fans season after season. From the outside, it looked like ambition, like a franchise finally ready to build a legacy. But just like that first trick in the sting, it was never about delivery. It was about keeping the crowd invested, no matter the cost. The Mark, the loyal fan base, especially black women pouring in money, time, and heart. The con, a franchise dressed up like community, but built to extract tickets, merchandise, false hope. And the brilliance of the grift is in the disguise. You don't even know you've been played until you were already too deep.
And that's the genius of a hook. You think you're part of the story. You think you're being let in on the inside play. For the Sky, that looked like charity drives, owner workshops, community campaigns. The message was clear. We're building with you. But behind the curtain, the same ownership group was cashing in, not cashing out for the community. Every big move felt like the start of something new. Drafting young stars, signing marquee free agents, talking up their commitment to women's empowerment. But when the dust settled, the wins were fleeting and the losses, both on and off the court, were permanent. The house always won while the fans carried the losses. That's why this feels so much like the Steam. It's not just failure, it's a structure of failure. A system designed to recycle hope season after season without ever delivering the dynasty itself. The ragtime keeps playing, but the audience doesn't realize they're being swindled until the credits roll. So let's run the film real forward. We've seen the hook. Now it's time for Act 1, setting the table, the setup. This is where the con really begins to take shape.
In the Sting, once Newman and Redford pick their score, their first move is clear. Identify the mark. The grip don't start until you know who you're playing and exactly how to play it. Chicago Sky's front office, same playbook. From day one, they knew the mark. The loyal fans, the ones who will ride through thick and thin. But here's the twist. A hustle ain't the same as a business. A hustle, short-term extraction. You bleed the cash, drain the loyalty, and bounce. No give back, no future. A business, that equals legacy.
The Sky, from their inception, they really showed their hand. No practice facility, no elite front office hires, no long-term infrastructure. That's not a dynasty blueprint. That's a hustle blueprint. You can't claim you're building a championship legacy when your players don't even have a permanent home to sharpen their game. And that's where the real mark comes in, the fan base. Majority Black women, season ticket holders, grassroots supporters, the ones wearing the jerseys and filling the stands. These fans weren't just emotionally invested. They were financially invested. They bought into the dream, even when the receipt said otherwise. The Sky knew it, and they played it. Year after year, they dangled the ideal of win now, not to build a future, but to keep the mark in play. That's the setup. A loyal crowd believing they were in a partnership with a franchise building something bigger. When the front office quietly treated them as the bankroll for the next short con. And once you set the table, you're ready for the next phase of the game, which takes us straight to Act 2, the long con. This is the buildup.
All right, Act 2, the long con, the buildup, the Sting. After the hook lands, the crew don't rush the big score. They build trust. They convince the mark the game is real, that the risk is worth it. That's exactly how the Chicago Sky ran their play for 2 decades. Cycles of hope, heartbreak, reset. Keeping the mark, the fans, on the line. Rewind to 2006, expansion franchise, first team in Chicago. Front office sold excitement, new city, new beginnings, new opportunities. What did they deliver? 8 years of losing. Losing seasons, coaching chaos, lost players, 0 playoff runs until 2013. And in any good kind, get a mark a little win. Something to make them believe bigger things is coming. That win was Elena Deladon. 2013 Rookie of the Year. 2014 Finals run. Fans thought, oh, here it is. Our dynasty on the way. But here's hustle. No practice facility, no championship caliber infrastructure, no real investment. Deladon won it out by 2016. Sylvia Fowles was gone before that. Instead of building around generational talent, the front office cashed out, resetting the cycle and reselling hope to the mark. And they kept spinning it. Candace Dupree, Sylvia Fowles, Courtney Vandersloot. Every star marketed as the savior. Every sign pushed us. This is the year. But behind the hype, no foundation, no elite front office, no sustainable plan. That's not business. That's extraction. The classic long con.
And that cycle has repeated like clockwork. Flash forward to 2021. The Skyland Candace Parker, hometown hero, and spin the story of destiny. It worked. Ticket sales soared, the fan base rallied, and for once the dream came true. They won a championship. But instead of turning that championship into a dynasty, the front office did what hustlers do. They sold high. Key players like Parker, Vandersloot, Quigley, and Steph Dawson weren't retained or replaced with equivalent talent. Within a year, the so-called dynasty collapsed. The mark was told to wait again. Even the present day shows the same hustle in action. In 2024, they hit the lottery. Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso, 2 rookies with massive cultural influence. The hype train roared back to life. The front office branded it as win now era. But what did they do with the momentum? Did they invest in elite veterans or finally break ground on that practice facility? No. Instead, they filled the roster with bargain bin players and distracted the fans with a few flashy PR moves. When Teresa Weatherspoon, a beloved hire, was fired midstream, they told the fans it was part of the win now plan. In reality, it was just another sleight of hand, another stage in a long con. So what's the pattern? Draft or acquire a superstar, sell the dream, fail to invest, cash out, reset, repeat. Each collapse isn't an accident, it's a model. Every rebuild is just another way to resell the dream to the fans, the fan base that deserves so much better. And like in the Sting, once the buildup convinces the mark the game is real, the crew can start running the hustle in full. That takes us into Act 3, the characters of the con. Let's meet the players who've been running Chicago's version of the long game.
All right, so y'all know in the movie, the con is only as strong as the crew running it. The Chicago Sky front office, same script, new characters. Let's meet the grifters. The Grand Wizard, Michael Alter, owner. On paper, Chicago civic benefactor. Real estate mogul, Harvard alum, community philanthropist, founder of City Year Chicago. The story sold, a man uplifting women athletes. The reality, more banker than builder. Lean operations, minimal overhead, skirting infrastructure, skimming investment, while cashing in on the goodwill. The saboteur, Jeff Pagliocca, GM. The fixer, the gambler. Rolls the dice on hot prospects, markets their arrival like fireworks, then discards them when the spark fades. Touted for his player development chops, founder of Evolution Athletics. Pattern never changes. Big name drafted, big hype, then gone when the foundation can't hold. Fox. Adam Fox himself, the CEO. Silk tongue, smooth spin. Gabby Williams called it the PowerPoint exec who told players, we don't invest because y'all don't make us money. Post teaspoon firing, he sold the pivot. New direction, fresh era. Broker shiny partnerships like U Chicago Medicine for elite sports care, but never builds the infrastructure to match the hype. His job, keep fans looking forward while the house crumbles behind him. The grifter, Nadia Rawlinson, co-owner and operating chairman. The trusted face, Harvard, Stanford, Silicon Valley alum. Former executive Slack, Live Nation, American Express. Marketed as the conscience. The champion for women and black entrepreneurs. Fronts the Skies Foundation Women's Small Business Cohort. A credibility layer to dress up the hustle. Representation is camouflage. Not a roper. The media, the essential accomplice. Frames the sky as plucky underdogs. Hypes each shiny trade. Atkins. Reese, Cardoso. Drapes it in PR spin about protecting players. Downplays the holes. Masks the rot. Keeps the mark. Fans dreaming while the con rolls on.
These aren't just titles. They're roles in a long orchestrated hustle. Now that you know who they are, let's give you the roles that they play. The Grand Wizard, Michael Alter, cloaks the hustle in public philanthropy. City Year, a nod to community. Sure, but where's the reinvestment in the franchise fundamentals? No permanent practice facility, no elite front office team, and no real boom maker. Long-term legacy. Jeff Pagliocca, the saboteur, consistently sets up the churn, draft stars, hype, then swap or quietly fold. He's the maestro who ensures the mark is always rooting, but never convinced the rebuilding will stick. Oh, Mr. Adam Fox controls the message. Injuries, losses, no problem. This is part of recalibration. We're pivoting towards a new era. He shields the fan from the reality while convincing them there's still a play out there worth watching. And then the grifter herself, Nadia Rawlins, smartly positioned to earn trust, especially among Black women fans. That women business cohort isn't just legit, it's powerful. But combined with a front office that sells short, it's not empowerment, it's distraction. A credible mirror shrouding extraction. And the media, rope you on in, the roper. Despite desperate to keep their access, they give us the soundtrack, the narrative of hope, rewrite losses as new direction, and bear the receipts of what really is slipping. That's how the con stays invisible. Now that you've seen who's pulling the strings, it's time we confront the consequences, the fallout of the long con. Coming up next, the play. The Sting shows the con being run in real time.
Yeah, see, in the movie, the theory ends when the cards hit the table. That's what it's over. The music rolls, the mark leans in, thinking the game is real. That's where we are with the Chicago Sky latest at. The 2025 Win Now Con, debate, draft night, Angel Reese, Kamilla Cardoso, two rookies with more cultural capital than whole franchises. Angel brought LSU title, NIL empire, millions of followers. That's what she brought with her. Cardoso brought international appeal, two-time national champion. Rare size the league can't teach. The draft wasn't basketball, it was theater. Jerseys flying, ticket sales spiking. Sky sold the illusion of destiny. The switch, a real win now plan. Stack vets, lock an elite point guard, add depth at every spot. What did Chicago do? Cobble together minimum contracts, filler pieces, glaring holes untouched. Practice facility still missing 2 decades in. Almost 3 now. We almost 3 into the WNBA. Borrow gyms instead of championship infrastructure. That ain't strategy. It's smoke and mirrors. The distraction. Cue the Ariel Atkins trade. Headline scream. WNBA champion. Team USA Olympian. The red carpet rolled. The hype machine spun. But the fine print, Sky gave up the number 3 pick in a loaded draft, plus future assets. That's not building. That's mortgaging tomorrow to sell hope today. And just like the Sting, the Roper gets fans gas while the crew clean the table.
And this is where the genius and the cruelty of the con shows itself. Because for the fans, especially black women who have been loyal for 20 years, this looks like a moment they've been waiting for. A rookie class to build around, a star veteran to add legitimacy, and a promise loud and clear that the Sky were finally ready to win now. But the receipts don't lie. Look at the roster construction. No floor general to organize the offense, no bench depth to weather injuries, no infrastructure to attract free agents long term. Even Teresa Weatherspoon, a beloved coach who thought she was steering a 2-year rebuild, was axed midstream to justify the con. The Win Now slogan wasn't a basketball plan. It was a marketing campaign designed to keep butts in the seats and jerseys flying off the racket. And what's the payoff? The front office cashes in. Attendance goes up. Merchandise revenues, they soar. Sponsorships come calling. Reese and Cardoso do their part. They bring the culture, the buzz, the attention. But instead of turning that spotlight into a foundation, the Sky monetized the moment while leaving the product hollow. The mark believes they're invested in a contender, but the con crew knows the house is built on sand. That's the hustle, family. The 2025 Win Now campaign isn't proof of growth. It's proof of a pattern. Bait with stars, distract with PR, profit off the fan base. And when the dust settles, the legacy is still missing. Which brings us to the next act, the blowoff, the mark and the moral. What happens when people who have been played finally realize the sting has been running all along?
See, the blowoff is the cruelest part. The moment the mark realizes too late, the whole game was rigged. The winnings, gone. The trust, betrayed. And that's exactly where Chicago fans sit today, 20 years deep into the hustle. The most loyal mark, the fans, especially black women in Chicago. They bought tickets, rocked jerseys. They showed up at 5 wins and at 20. They were emotionally and financially invested. And what did the front office deliver? Slogans like win now, without ever laying the bricks of a dynasty. That loyalty wasn't rewarded, it was exploited. The pattern is undeniable. Elena Deladon drafted, hyped, MVP, forced out. Sylvia Fowles, cornerstone, demanded a trade. Candace Parker brought home a title, gone a year later. Courtney Vandersloot and Allie Quigley, the heart and soul, gone in free agency. Every era ends the same way. Stars leave, foundation crumbles, reset button hit. You don't lose transcendent talent by accident. That's not bad luck. That's a strategy. In the Sting, the crew always dangles the jackpot chip. The one play that makes the mark believe that little wins were building to something big. For the Chicago Sky, that jackpot was Candace Parker, hometown hero, 2-time MVP, finals MVP. The signing gave the franchise instant credibility. Fans, especially black women in Chicago, bought all the way back in. And who could blame them? Parker wasn't just a star, she was a statement. And for a moment, the dream looked real. The Sky won their first WNBA championship in 2021. Confetti flying, parade roaring, Kai Copper, crown finals MVP. It looked like legitimacy had finally arrived, like the hustle had turned into a business. But here's where the con shows his hand. Within 2 years, Parker gone, Vandersloot and Quigley gone, pillars dismantled. And what did the front office build to sustain the moment? No practice facility, no elite front office overhaul, no dynasty blueprint. The jackpot wasn't a launch pad, it was a payout, and the blowoff had already begun.
And here's where the sting gets even more cool. The Sky had their jackpot moment, but instead of reinvesting into its lasting success, they treated it like it was a lottery ticket, cashing in the win and walking away. The fan base, half the championship, assumed this was the start of something permanent. But behind the curtain, the hustlers were already setting up the next reset. The championship should have been the anchor to attract stars, deepen the roster, and finally build a long-promised dynasty. Instead, Parker retired elsewhere. Vandersloot signed with the Liberty, Quigley stepped away, and Steph Dawson was gone too. Each departure chipped away at the illusion until the jackpot looked more like a fluke. And still, no investments in fundamental building blocks that every serious franchise commits to. Then came 2023 and 2024 when the hustle was exposed. James Wade, the GM and coach who delivered the title, walked out mid-season for an NBA assistant job. Proof that these insiders knew the foundation wasn't solid. Teresa Weatherspoon, a legend, was hired on the promise of a 2-year rebuild, then tossed aside in a bait and switch win-now scheme. By the time Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso arrived in 2024, the bait was reset, the jersey sold, and the mark was rehooked. That's the blowoff family. 20 years of the same crew running the same play, hype, cash out, reset. Stars always leave, cycles always restart, and investments are always avoided. This isn't incompetency. It's a deliberate con. The greatest trick the Sky front office ever pulled was convincing fans they were building legacy when they were only ever running a con. Meanwhile, the big investments that would have kept those stars, always avoided. No practice facility, no state-of-the-art training setup, no top-tier front office hires. Other franchises like the Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty show what commitment looks like, building infrastructure to keep their stars anchored. The Sky's refusal to follow suit, that ain't bad luck. It's a tale of a hustle.
In this theme, the blowoff is where the crew pulls the distraction, while the mark watches the smoke. The hustlers vanish with the money. That's exactly what hit Chicago fans in 2023 and 2024. The years when the hustle finally cracked. First up, James Wade, 2023, GM and the head coach, faces stability. 2 years removed from a championship and mid-season, he bounced to an NBA assistant job. For any other franchise, that's a crisis. For the Sky, business as usual. The spin, we're moving forward. Like instability wasn't a red flag, but a feature. The hustler stayed in play. The mark stayed hooked. Then came Teresa Weatherspoon, teaspoon, living legend. She was sold on a 2-year rebuild, told she'd be the architect of the next era. But mid-rebuild, the bait and switch. Front office flips the win now. Fires her, spins it as progress. That's not strategy. That's betrayal dressed up as ambition. And right on cue, 2024 draft, Angel Reese, Kamilla Cardoso, 2 cultural icons, dropped into Chicago overnight. Ticket sales spiked, jerseys flew off racks, the narrative flipped back to optimism. Fans rehooked, distracted by star power. While the deeper issues, no infrastructure, no stability, no practice facility, just short-term hype, stayed untouched. That's the blow-off. A distraction so dazzling, you don't see the hustlers pocketing the bag and resetting the cycle. And the final act, it never comes quiet. It comes loud, flashy, irresistible. 2025, the Sky unveiled their masterpiece, the win now con. Fans promise urgency, excitement, glory. But underneath, same tired playbook, a cycle of extraction disguised as ambition.
The win now marketing campaign was everywhere. Social media, interviews, press release, all designed to make fans believe the team was pivoting towards greatness. Teaspoon was shown the door, a casualty of the narrative that the only way to win was to flip the script fast. The urgency sold us hope, gave the illusion of control, and convinced the fans we were witnessing the dawn of a new dynasty. But it was all smoke and mirrors. The front office hustled in full display. The Ariel Atkins trade became the crown jewel of the con. Headlines called it a championship-level move. Analysts hyped it as immediate upside, and the media danced along like puppets on a string. But the cost, a number 3 draft pick, and future capital that could have built a lasting foundation. The story was spun, the spotlight shifted, and the losses, both tangible and strategic, were hidden in plain sight. It wasn't just a bad trade. It was a calculated move in a game fans weren't meant to understand. And the results, 9 wins and 30 losses thus far. No dynasty, no upgraded facility, no lasting foundation. Just another chapter in a repeating pattern. The so-called Win Now initiative wasn't about building. It was about extracting. It's the same cycle the mark has been subjected to for years. Hope sold, resources, siphoned, and the fans left to pick up the pieces. In 2025, the illusion of progress became evidence of the con. Flashy on the surface, hollow underneath.
And this is why the blowoff cuts the deepest, because it proves intent. Think about it. James Wade bolts mid-season. Teaspoon baited, then dumped. Reese Cardoso drafted, spun as a reset button. If this was incompetence, the mistakes would vary. Instead, it's the same playbook on repeat. Leadership chaos dressed up as progress. Coaches plus players paraded as props, then discarded. Stars hyped, but never given a foundation. Wade's exit exposed instability. Teaspoon's fire and proof promises even to legends mean nothing. Reese plus Cardoso's draft proved how quickly the fan base could be dazzled while accountability was dodged. These aren't accidents. They're deliberate moves in a con that's run 20 years strong. Here's the heartbreak, the mark. The fans, especially the black women, were never meant to see a dynasty. They were meant to be the bankroll. Every cycle, same outcome. Stars leave, reset spin, investments avoided. Incompetence doesn't repeat like clockwork. Hustles do. And that's the sting of the blow-off. Fans left with empty promises. New jerseys, another cycle. Hustlers keep cashing in, but the story can't end here because in any good sting, there's always a chance for a counter move, which takes us into Act 6. The mark fights back.
So here's the big question. Is this just incompetency or has this been a deliberate con from the beginning? At first glance, fans might want to believe it's mismanagement, a series of bad breaks, but incompetence is random. What we see here is repetition, a repeatable cycle that benefits the front office while draining the fans. That's not accident. That's design. You think about it. 20 years, same leadership, same outcome. They draft or acquire a star, hype her up, spin the dream, then fail to invest. The star leaves, the cycle resets. Fans are told to buy back in, rinse and repeat. If this were incompetent, you see different mistakes, different failures. Instead, it's the same playbook over and over because it works, at least for them. The cruel genius of a lone con is that the mark keeps coming back, believing next time will be different. Chicago fans were told to trust the process in 2014, again in 2021, again in 2025. Each time the sting resets because the leadership knows the loyalty is strong enough to withstand the betrayal. That's not bumbling, it's predatory. And now the moral of the story, the Sky 20-year history isn't just a string of missed opportunities. It's a deliberate hustle. The blow-off is here. The fans have been played. The question now is whether you'll keep buying into the game or finally flip the table, which takes us to the final act. What happens when the mark fights back?
Well, the sting, the only way to beat the con is to flip it back on the hustlers. And that's exactly where we are now. Chicago Sky fans, you've been marked for 20 years. Here's the truth. This only works if you keep buying in. The moment you pour your money, your energy, your faith, the con collapses. Let's talk demands. Number one, league for sale. WNBA is booming. Record ratings, billion-dollar media deals, new franchises moving like Fortune 500 companies. The league can't afford the third largest market running the 2-decade hustle. Commissioner Engelbert, Board of Governors, step in. Install ownership tied to NBA infrastructure. Bring resources, bring vision, build a dynasty. The proof is already here. Mystics, Wizards, Mercury, Suns, Sparks, Lakers. Those alignments work because the infrastructure is real. Chicago deserves the same. Demand number two, boycott. Not of Angel Reese, not of Kamilla Cardoso, Not of the women giving blood, sweat, and tears every night. The boycott is aimed squarely at the front office. Don't renew season tickets. Don't buy single game seats. Don't pick up another jersey from the official store. Empty seats at Wintrust Arena, louder than any op-ed. Declining merch revenue, that's a language ownership can't spin. Hashtags like hashtag sell the sky and hashtag new sky make it clear. This is targeted. This is intentional. This is righteous.
Because here's the truth, family. The only language hustlers understand is profit and loss. They've run this game for 2 decades because the mark kept paying. That's the leverage you hold. You stop paying, you stop being the mark. That's how you flip the coin. This isn't disloyalty. This is love. Love for the players who deserve an organization built to match their greatness. Love for the city that deserves a champion it can be proud of. Not just sold a dream by smooth talkers. Love for the game itself, which is growing too big, too bold, and too global to keep carrying hustlers on its back. In the sting, the mark ends up broke, humiliated, and wondering how it all went so wrong. In Chicago, the mark isn't a character in a movie. The mark is us, the fans. For years, we believed in the promise, cheered the promises, and invested our hearts and wallets in a team we thought was building a legacy. But now it's time to face the truth. The sting was never a mistake. It was a plan. And the mark has been the most loyal fan base of the WNBA. Black women who have poured love, culture, and capital into a franchise that never intended to honor our investment. So here's the moral of the story. The greatest trick the Chicago Sky front office ever pulled was convincing fans they were building a legacy when they were only ever running a hustle. But the hustle ends when the mark gets wise. The sting collapsed when the marks refused to pay. And that's where we leave you tonight. The Sky front office has played a long con. Now it's time for the fans to play the counter sting. Don't just clap back online. Clap back with your dollars, your absence, your demands. Because if Chicago wants a new sky, it's going to take all of us to tear down the old hustle. For 2 decades, think about it. The same playbook has run on repeat. Stars drafted, hyped, and discarded. Hope sold to fans, but never a legacy. And the cruelest part, we're the ones doing the heavy lifting, emotionally, financially, culturally. We bought the energy, the attendance, the buzz, and made the arena a home, made the jerseys a statement. And for what? The truth is harsh. It wasn't incompetence. It wasn't luck. It was a hustle, the plan, and the con. And the mark, that was all of us. That was our loyalty being manipulated for someone else's gain. But knowing the con doesn't mean we remain powerless. It means we wake up. It means we demand change. We have the leverage. We have the culture, the voice, the visibility, and it's time to use it. The regime that has run this team into a cycle of hype and disappointment cannot continue to operate unchecked. The fans, the real backbone of the franchise, must reclaim the narrative, demand accountability, and insist on an ownership that values legacy over short-term profits.
The plan is clear, and so is the response. Demand 1, a league for sale. New ownership tied to NBA infrastructure, or even better, a private group committed to building something sustainable. Demand 2, a fan boycott until that change is real. A unified front under hashtag sell the sky and hashtag new sky. The loyalty of this fan base is infinite. It's powerful. It's influential. And it can no longer be exploited as collateral for the whims of an indifferent front office. The greatest trick the Sky Brass ever pulled, convincing fans they were building a legacy when all along it was just a sting. That's how exploitation of labor in sports always plays. Market the promise, drain the pockets, leave the players in the community holding the bag. This wasn't a bad gamble. This has been a well-oiled con for decades. And that's why we keep boiling this tea. Because if the front office won't take accountability, if the press won't tell the truth, we will. Every Tuesday and Thursday, right here on CessTalksSports and BWISE PoliSports Tea Time. Next on Broken Sky's Boycott to Protect, fans protecting our assets, the Twin Towers. What's next for Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso? We've had it up to our split ends. It's time to demand. It's time to plan. It's time to mobilize. Our young women deserve the best. It's time to stop the exploitation of Black female athletes. Hashtag stop the exploitation. Use that, y'all. Remember this. When they sell you false hope and keep spinning the cycle, call it what it is, the long con, and fight back. Because sports are never just about the games we play, but the stories we tell and the systems we expose. This has been a CessTalksSports BWISE PoliSports Tea Time production. Subscribe, like, comment, share, spread the word. And whenever you show love to our sisters shaking up the league, use the hashtags respect our game, fair play WNBA, and hashtag stop the cap. We're not done pouring boiling hot tea either. Action speaks louder than words. It's Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, rolling with Political Lil. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.